What is going on, everybody? We have a new update for the Garmin R10. You can now use RCT golf ball. So we will go more into that. We'll talk about if it works and what that means for your unit. Hey everybody, we're gonna go over this Garmin RCT update. So before we do that, make sure you check out, we have our online programs, and if you're interested in getting your own Garmin or any of the stuff you see in our simulator room, make sure you check out 24/7 Golf. I'll link all that down below. Now let's get into it. Big update for the Garmin R10, okay? So what they've done is they're now compatible with using the RCT golf ball that is out from Titleist. Now, if you're not familiar with what the RCT golf ball is, what happens with radar units is you try and, especially indoors, it can be tough to capture the spin of the golf ball in such a short distance. You know, radar units were designed originally for much more flight. They are very accurate when they get that flight, but you need the room to do it. So what they started doing was they would take a golf ball and you would put this metallic dot on the ball, and that would actually be what would serve as like, hey, this would help the unit see the spin. Now, they were a little annoying. One, for me, I was probably going through almost a sheet of them a day with how many golf balls we were hitting. And, you know, then they start flying everywhere. They don't stay on all the time. And then they get stuck in the turf. You can't vacuum up. You have to peel them out of the turf and then get them up. So very annoying to use. But the reason you wanted to use it was you wanted to get an accurate spin reading because, you know, that would affect your distance. So if we were ever doing anything like, hey, I'm going to do some yardage gapping, okay, then I'm going to put the sticker on. If I was doing a fitting, all right, let's put the sticker on. But if we're just working on swing things like, hey, where's my club path? Where is, you know, my face angle, stuff like that, we didn't really use it because the radar reads that anyway as you're going. Now, not sure how much the Garmin does in all of that stuff. Like I said, I think there's a lot of calculations because you have to set the club, stuff like that. But this should really help us with getting a good read on the golf ball. That's really what we're looking at. So the RCT ball then came about where Titleist essentially worked with TrackMan, and from what I hear, Club Champion as well, because they were trying to get a better read without all the stickers, all that stuff. All right, how do we get all this stuff to work? Well, we don't want to do stickers inside with our fittings. They came up with the idea of they have the metal, the metallic is actually in the golf ball already, okay? So that's where these RCT golf balls come from. They are awesome. I've loved using them. They work really well. I've used them with TrackMan. I've used them with FlightScope. They work well. And up until recently, they actually would not work with the Garmin R10. There's something with the frequencies of how things are going with the radar and all that. That's what's been told to me, and that's the big adjustment you have to make for the ball within the radar. But Garmin did an update, and now these will work, okay? So we're going to test it out, see if it's a big deal, okay? So first things first, when you get this, you're going to have to update. So my software, I did the latest update to software version 4.30. Okay, that is the software update we are using for the Garmin R10. Also, these RCT golf balls, they are only available in either Pro V1 or Pro V1X. Okay, so the Pro V1 is the golf ball I play. Okay, so three-piece golf ball, meant to be a little bit lower flighting, lower spinning, still does a lot with short game stuff like that, but kind of keeps the ball a little bit flatter. That's what the reason I use it. The Pro V1X is a four-piece ball, spins more, has a higher launch. Really, you're looking to be a real high-speed player to be able to play this ball because you got to kind of fight through. It's going to launch high, so you need speed for that ball to really be traveling without getting kind of balloon effect, which is what I was seeing, you know, as I'm getting older and slower. That's what I started seeing. So we're going to be testing this out, okay? So because I play the Pro V1, and that's the ball I have available for me, I will test the Pro V1 RCT ball. I would imagine the results are going to be the same, other than you might see some different numbers just from the ball performance. But I want to be able to compare how they work when you have the two different balls, the non-metallic and the metallic. So what I'm going to do is we're going to hit a few shots, we're going to see what we get, and then we'll talk about the numbers as we go. All right, so having gone through all those numbers and after hitting all the shots, we hit some 9-irons. What I found was the 9-iron without the RCT ball, okay, we were getting around, 67, close to 7,000, but the total spin, the spin in RPMs was always in italics. It was being estimated, okay, so that is something that's being calculated. Now, we did get one where I hit it lower, and it was like 4,500. Again, calculated on that spin. Okay, so bad shot, not as good. So you kind of expect that. But again, you kind of don't like those calculated numbers if you're really trying to take away doubt and say, all right, I really know how far I'm going. Now, when we switched over to the RCT ball, it definitely works. We got all of our reads, okay, with the 9-iron. We got all the spins. Distances seemed pretty good. Now, the one thing I'd say is I was actually really impressed by the algorithm that they have. That has always been updating and changing. I've been a little critical of the Garmin on its club path and face. With this latest update, what I was seeing, at least the club path and face numbers made sense. Now, I'm not 100%. And there was one or two shots where I'm like, I thought that went left, and it's telling me it went right, or vice versa. But at least the data that they put on the screen really made sense. It's like, all right, well, then I should see this club path, this face. That is not affected by the RCT ball. That is just something I've noticed. But the RCT ball, you will get your spins. I did not get with a 9-iron a spin that was estimated. Now, with that said, I was getting around 7,000, just north of 7,000 on spins. So a couple more 100 RPMs a spin were generated. It was pretty close without it anyway, but again, if you're looking for real good accuracy, this RCT ball definitely made a big difference in everything that was going on. And now the distances were pretty close. That does speak a lot to the algorithm saying, hey, they've done a pretty good job of getting things fairly close, and so you can have an idea of what's going on. So that was good. The question becomes, all right, are you somebody that's going to need the RCT ball because of its price? Now, we'll get to that in just a sec. Now, we did test some drivers out. Now, where I would expect this to help a little more is, when you're hitting driver, it's going to be very difficult to get any spin without a metallic dot of some sort because it's just traveling too fast, too quick, very difficult to get spins. So they were all estimated right around that 3,000 mark. Not bad on the distances. Kind of made sense. Again, club date, all that stuff made sense. So good job on their update and all that. But when we did go to the RCT ball, we got almost all of them were red with the spin number. Okay, so that's good. Now, this does affect like side spin and stuff like that. But again, like hitting a few off of like the toe where that would normally make a hook on a driver. I did hit one off the toe. It did say it goes right. But that's not necessarily just a Garmin problem. That can be an indoor launch monitor problem with gear effect. That can be tough to get. So you got to keep that in mind. But it did a good job of getting the spins. Now, again, though, my spins that were red and the spins that were calculated were actually really close. I was getting around 3,000 for the calculated. I was getting like 2,900 when it was red with the RCT ball. So did a pretty good job. I think it's speaking more to, I'm getting more and more impressed by the update that they did with this unit. So that leads us to the next question. Is it worth it for you to get the RCT ball? Well, that's really going to come down to what you think, right? For me, as somebody that uses a launch monitor, that I'm doing a lot of gapping, I'm doing a lot of, hey, let's make sure clubs are correct. That does matter to me, and I do want to make sure we're getting the correct spins and stuff like that. The issue is these golf balls, after tax and shipping, I just got a new dozen of the regular Pro V in, and I have a dozen of Pro V1Xs as well. The thing is, it's going to cost you about $74. That's when I ordered them just about a week or two ago. That was what it cost to get them to me, and that's not expedited shipping, anything like that. So you got to weigh the difference. Like, hey, do I really want all of that, or maybe a marginal improvement for that price? Some people, I think, you know, yeah, it's worth it to you. So that's going to be what you have to weigh and how important that is to you. And where you're at. I think the better the player, you're probably going to want that more, although I do think it's just important if people learn how far they hit the ball. That is important as well. If you're not going to look at your shots and say, all right, hey, that ball went this far. Oh, but it didn't read the spin. It was a little low. You know, that's going to make the ball go a little farther. You know, you got to be able to kind of comprehend that in your head a little bit. So if you find that that's going to be tough, then maybe the RCT ball is going to be a good way for you to go, so you can make sure you have all of that going on. So really good update. It does work. Can confirm that. Make sure you do the update so it does work. If you don't, they will not work still. But get you some better spin numbers. Seems that they've done just an overall better job with the Garmin. I was impressed with how it performed with this whole new update. So good job from them. And yeah, we will kind of keep an eye on this device and what your thoughts are. What do you think? How do you feel like you're going to use it? If you're going to get them, let people know why down in the comments below. That always helps out. And if you have any questions, please leave a comment down below. Make sure you check out 24/7. Make sure you check out our online programs with Sportsbox 3D coming up. And as always, click that subscribe button. We're going to see you in the next video. Thanks for watching. Peace.